We are fortunate on Tuesdays to have two of the most popular figures in the history of this show. One of them is enraged right now and remains enraged because of what we've done to him today involving his fantasy team, the Lobos. He has now remembered that the fifth player that he had produce a bunch of points for him this weekend was Jamar Chase.
Yes.
He was very happy, and he is in general made happy by his team, but not happy by the way we talk about his team. So I will try to make Greg Cody someone who is a bit soothed by allowing him to talk about his podcast, The Greg Cody Show, featuring Greg Cody. You can get new episodes every week.
With
Greg
thank
Cody.
you for that.
It's with Greg Cody.
The new podcast, it's with.
Can you please stop shaking the microphone when we
Yeah,
go
I
to
wanted
you?
to make it closer to my mouth.
Yeah, you could have done that, though, before the segment
Shaking it.
started.
Yeah, quit interrupting my the plug of my podcast.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very personal podcast. It's a very personal podcast to me because it concerns my birthday party. And some of you in the room here are a part of that. And I heard my wife speak about me in a way that was very emotional. And she doesn't often speak emotionally, particularly in front of 100 people. But she did this time. That's like a running joke, or what are you doing?
I don't know. You've been running
He's
the
getting
joke
mad
for
at you,
20
man.
years.
Okay,
For 20
all right.
years, you've
Yeah,
been
no,
running
that's
that
fine.
joke.
Okay, I'm done talking about the podcast.
And your birthday. Yeah.
I wanted you to promote the podcast, The Greg Cody Show.
Yeah, and then you were
featuring
going like
Greg
this
Cody.
the whole time.
Yeah, we could hear all of it. We heard everything.
No,
he
I'm
said.
done. I'm done. No, that's fine.
Ron McGill
feels
with
disrespected,
us.
man.
It's very ignorant what just happened to me. It's beyond disrespect. Yeah, it was terrible. Under the guise of trying to be funny, it was like ridiculous.
Ron McGill joins us now, one of the most popular guests in the history of this show. Your wife, when you speak of her with great admiration, and she's not quite as emotional as you are. So I was surprised to hear her speak in a way that made her emotional because she doesn't do a lot of that.
Yeah, what makes you think I'm emotional? What are you getting at? Wicker head.
Dan, if I recall, Dan, I believe you actually got a little emotional when you were speaking up there. I was quite moved by that.
Dan? No.
Dan, yes, he. I should have taped him because Dan got emotional as he was speaking up there.
Yeah, luckily for Ron and everyone else, they can hear that emotion out of Le Batard by listening to my latest podcast episode, which I'm very proud of. My producers stitched all that together beautifully. It's like a tapestry of my life. Just gorgeous.
You rolled on all the speeches celebrating you?
Not all of them.
And play them on the podcast.
Just the good ones.
Yeah,
I
he
am
did.
so proud of
Yeah,
you.
he did.
That's really a service to the audience that couldn't make the boat.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's easy content.
Thank you.
The best part that you don't see in the podcast is my dad almost tripping on the cord after his speech and almost ruining the party by falling.
Hey, Gary the Bag. There he is.
There's the bag.
The only time you can hear him is on my podcast.
Ron,
We had to cut that in half, by the way.
1450.
Gary the Bag, a little long-winded.
1430.
1430.
That's a fine.
Thank you.
It should be 1450.
That's what I thought.
Can we check in here, Ron? You've told us for years now that the way to deal with a bear that might be charging is to make yourself big and shout some version of "Hey Bear" at him. I want to play this video for you because some people here are saying that when it's a brown bear, you lay down. When it's a black bear, you fight back. Let's see this video with Ron where a bunch of people are saying if it's brown, lay down. And this bear is just coming up, and they seem totally relaxed. The bear doesn't want any part of them. But is the behavior of human beings around bears different depending on what color they are?
Yes, brown bear is different than the black bear. By the way, that's not a brown bear. I believe that's a black bear that's just in a brown color phase.
Well, that's confusing.
So how do you know? I mean, what do we do?
By the shape of the bear.
Yeah,
brown bears are considerably bigger. That's the classic grizzly bear. They have a large hump on their back. Their hair tends to be much thicker and more grizzled hair. Thereby the name grizzly bear. But the bottom line is, I speak generally in Florida because you're not going to have brown bears in Florida. Only in Florida we have black bears. So when you see a black bear, yes, you make yourself look as large as possible. You put your hands up in the air, you scream, never turn your back and run. More often than not, that bear is going to run away. Like I said, it's happened to me several times in my lifetime coming across bears here in Florida. I never even really had to raise my hand. The bear just saw me and ran away. I don't know if I'm that frightening or not, but that was the bottom line. Now with a grizzly bear, a large bear, this bear may come and attack you. And the bottom line is this: if you get attacked, do not fight back a grizzly bear. Get in the fetal position, cover the back of your neck with your hands, try to cover those vital areas. And, I know it's easier said than done, but don't fight back. Try to play dead, and hopefully that bear will think it succeeded in eliminating whatever threat it saw and leave you alone. But that's the difference in black bears and brown bears. But that whole thing, if it's brown, lay down. Well, you know what? There are a lot of black bears that are brown that are not black.
Well,
so I wouldn't lay down.
What about trying to poke the bear in the eye?
Like Roddy Piper.
Take that with your knife under the giraffe.
Well, hold on a second. Ron.
You don't poke the bear, Chris.
Ron, for 20 years, you've been coming on the show saying if you see a bear, stand up, make yourself as big as possible, and say, hey, bear. And now, 20 years later, we're finding out that's only applicable if you live in Florida. For anyone that's been listening nationally, I mean, I don't want to be morbid here. You may be responsible for multiple bear deaths.
Oh, wow.
I don't understand what Ron's doing.
No, that's not
where
true.
The black bear is a
That's
brown
not
You
bear.
may be.
Hey,
No way to
listen.
know.
They're in a brown phase, Dan.
Listen to what I'm saying, guys.
You have
Listen to
blood
what
on
I'm
your
saying.
hands.
Okay. What I'm saying is that once the attack is on, you play dead. But whenever you see any bear, put your hands up big. Okay.
In Florida.
Hands up big. Start backing back slowly, but make yourself known. If the bear charges and attacks you and it's a brown bear, lay down and play dead. If it's a black bear, fight the hell back.
Well, how do you know if it's like a black bear or brown bear with wet hair? There's black bear with highlights. Like, how do we know what kind of bear it is?
A
It's
black
very
bear
confusing.
in a
The
brown
thing's
phase?
running at you full speed when it's in a lake or whatever that was,
Story
and you're like
keeps
trying to look
changing.
at it like, oh,
Right.
what is how porous is that hair? So what do I know?
Right. What if it's
Generally
a polar
speaking,
bear?
a brown bear is going to be considerably larger.
Yeah, what if it's an old black bear with gray hair and you think it's a polar bear? Great question, Greg.
Thank you. I mean, if it's an old bear,
Yeah.
it used to be a brown bear.
Now
it's
it's
getting
gray.
old, so
Exactly.
it's white. Or it's a gray bear. What do you do if it's
What's
a
a
gray
gray
bear?
bear?
There's actually white bears. They're the
Gray.
ghost bears.
What about an albino black bear? What do we do there?
Fight back.
This is
Make
very
yourself look
confusing.
It
large
is.
as
I
possible.
feel like I need a little
gonna
card.
say,
There,
hey,
look at
bear.
the difference, guys. There, look at the difference.
List. Oh, I'm supposed to look at its paw print. Look at
Tracks
that.
look
I'm
the
running
same.
for my
I'm not
life.
telling you to look at
saying,
its paw
"Hey, bear."
print. Look at the large, massive size, the grizzled hair. You got the bigger, larger ears on a black bear and those little grizzled ears on a grizzly bear. Listen, guys, once you're in that situation, you're on your own. Okay. I'm
Well,
just trying
there
to give
now.
you-
In which state? In which
Finally,
state?
cut to the chase.
That's finally.
Tell me a
Mighty
state.
exalted
Some
you.
animal expert. Finally, you give it up. Once you're in that situation, it's not any hey bear.
Figure it
It's not-
out.
It's just you're on your own.
Yeah.
If it's a black bear in a brown face, it doesn't matter how big a bear it is. Just figure it out. You're on your own. Finally, the animal expert puts down his sword and tells us there is no actual solution.
Is that just in Florida or every state? Figure it out.
Figure it out on your
In
own.
Florida, it's always going to be a black bear, no matter
Got
what
it.
color that it is.
What if it's a jer bear?
What if it's
right, I'm gonna
vacationing?
Actually, listen, guys. On the East Coast, on the entire East Coast, it's basically going to be a black bear. Okay, brown bears and grizzly bears occur in the western part of the country.
Dan said, "Put down your sword." What if I brought a sword to the bear fight? Would I be able to survive?
I'm going to move on now to other video. We've spent
Thank
enough
you.
time here wasting
Now Ron's
Ron
getting mad.
McGill's
Jesus.
time. Yeah, we're going to piss off both of them today. Let's show you a sheep here with some deformities. It's got 4 horns. I've never
Not a deformity. It's an actual breed. It's the 4-horn sheep.
Okay, it looks
Wow.
like something from the bowels of hell. I did not.
I granted it is, and this is a spectacular example of a 4-horn sheep. They're usually not that spectacular. The horns are not that large, but it is a certain breed of sheep, the 4-horn sheep, that is not terribly uncommon. But this guy here is a spectacular version of it. That thing looks like, what's the name of that Disney character that what's her name played?
Satan. So this animal's name is the 4-horned sheep.
Yeah, it's a 4-horn sheep. It's a breed.
That's that's a little on the nose. No.
What?
What?
It's just got 4 horns, so it's called the 4-horned
Yeah.
sheep.
Is that
that's what it's
sheep
called.
rocking a medallion? Did I see that? No. Can we throw?
It's got swag. The sheep has.
oh, I
Okay. Okay. I'm not saying that people
It
aren't
is.
putting stupid crap on the animal to make it more iconic in whatever way they're trying to symbolize it. But the bottom line is the horns are natural in that breed of sheep, as well as the long coat. When you're putting medallions and other things on top of it, that's all, human stupidity.
Enhance.
Tell me how uncommon this is or isn't. We've got a seal. Is this seal attacking a human being?
I'm pretty sure this sheep is wearing a satanic medallion.
That sheep was at the Capitol.
It seems like a bell is what it's wearing.
Enhance.
A bell of some sort.
Thank you, Dan.
Enhance.
Thank you, Dan.
Let's go again, as I was mentioning, to this seal on the beach that is attacking a human being. Usually when this happens, you're telling us it's a mother protecting children.
It could be that, or it could be, listen, it could be just a seal getting a reaction from somebody too.
Jesus.
That doesn't even look like a major adult seal. But all I can tell you is that, that animal does not want that person on the beach and is trying to protect its little beach territory there.
Let that seal try that on me. I'd do way better than that person did.
Everybody likes their place in the sand on the beach.
Stumbling
and that was that seal's place on the beach, and it was basically telling that person goodbye.
Just wants to give them a kiss from a rose. That's all.
Hey, seal.
Oh my God.
Once the person was far enough away, it stopped. Okay, so basically the lesson there is once you're out of what the hell joke did I just make?
No, that wasn't
5 minutes,
you. It was a seal joke from Jeremy because he can't help himself with the terrible jokes. He just wanted to make a song about the singer Seal in one of his songs.
Oh, yeah.
Let's play for Ron this raccoon in a garbage can and a man using a hockey stick trying to, I guess, rescue the raccoon. How dangerous a situation is this, Ron? Should you just leave the raccoon alone?
Well, no, I would give it. I would give it access to try to get out of the garbage can, but yeah, in that case, I wouldn't put out the stick to help it out because if it was a real angry raccoon, it'd run up the stick and come get you. What I would do is I would open the can and tip the can over so it runs away. But having you connected to the stick, which gives that raccoon quick access, listen, let's be serious here, guys. Why is this guy doing this? Why is he videotaping this? If he really wants to help the raccoon, he's videotaping it for social media for clicks. Okay, that's what these people are doing. The social media makes people just flat out stupid.
Ron, you take pictures of everything. Yeah.
Very contentious.
Don't you have a contract with Canon or something? Yeah,
you
it's
ever
a great
seen
point,
me taking
Chris.
a video of myself doing something stupid?
Didn't you almost get killed in
animals.
Africa by a wallaby or something attacking you because you were trampling
You would
its
get more
home in the
clicks
middle of
if
the
you
night?
did.
Yeah, taking
Trample
pictures.
a tent.
Jeez Louise.
Yeah, I heard about that. Hey, Ron, I have a two-part question about the same animal. Number one, is the running of the bulls in Pamplona, Spain, the dumbest thing on earth? Number two, a herd of bulls escaped a rodeo at a mall in Massachusetts. So forget the bear for a minute. If I'm suddenly in the unexpected proximity of a bull, what should I do?
Get behind whatever large object you can. Make sure that object is between you and the bull, whether it be a tree, a car, or whatever. Get behind it. You're never going to outrun the bull. So find some firm, heavy, powerful, object that you can get behind, like a tree, an automobile, something like that.
Okay. And if you're the commissioner of animals, the global commissioner of animals, which you should be, do you abolish the running of the bulls in Pamplona?
Absolutely abolish it. Absolutely. And not just because, listen, stupid people get hurt doing it, but the bulls can get hurt doing that too. As they run on those cobblestone roads and stuff, they slip, they hurt themselves, they pull muscles. This is just insane, stupid entertainment at the expense of the bulls.
What if the bull was brown and you're living in the state of Florida?
Ooh, good question.
Ron, thank you for being on with us. I appreciate it, sir. Thank you, sir. Good talking to you again this week.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Love you, Ron.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you at all, Ron.
You did it.
Wasting your time.
This episode of the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz is presented by Smirnoff. We do game days. Please drink responsibly. The Smirnoff Company, New York, New York.
Stugotz came in today, and he was swaggering, and he was breathing hot breath in my face because I said yesterday that Bills bet, Bills minus 5.5, seemed like a special Chris Cody and Stugotz bet. I can spot when I look at the schedule what it is that Stugotz and Chris Cody would bet. They bet the Bills, and they won big betting the Bills.
Yep.
But underdogs that are plus 5.5 are 14-2 this year against the spread. What happened to Jacksonville last night has not happened very much this season to anybody, and I'm guessing you are 2-14 in games like that because you love to bet the big favorites so much.
1-0 in my last one. I mean, how about that?
Anyone plus 5.5 or more is 14-2 against the spread. And it's all a bunch of games like Denver this week where you're like, how is Denver only a 6-point dog against Tampa? And then they go out and the game's never even close.
I took the bait on that one, I have to admit. Dan, you know what? When you bet favorites, listen, it might be the easy thing to do. You know what I can't stand about people who take the underdogs? They think they're smarter than everyone else. You know something that me and Chris don't know. Jacksonville is desperate. They're 0-2. They need a win.
I wasn't brave enough
You had
to
the
believe.
Jags.
No, I did not. I told you. The reason I asked yesterday, the reason I asked you the question is because I'm like, nobody's actually brave enough to bet the Jags in that situation, at least in part because you fear that the Bills can do that at any point to anyone. It's one of the rare teams in the league. It's what Kansas City has been, honestly, the last couple of years that they're not anymore. Kansas City doesn't tend to cover its point spreads and has smaller point spreads than it's had in a long time because their offense isn't what Buffalo's is.
It's just a weird thing for me. When I bet, I like to bet the favorite and hope that they beat a team. I'm rooting for someone to beat someone by like 17 points as opposed to taking the underdog. And it's okay if they lose, just don't lose by, the amount of points I bet you on. I don't like underdogs. Underdogs scare me. Underdogs are for smart people.
All this stuff evens out. So when I hear that stat, that makes me want to crush these favorites even more, Dan, because they do.
Yep.
We are due.
You're
Do
right.
you guys ever bet anything? I want to ask you guys this question because I do this all the time uncomfortably. I bet teams in football sometimes because I am certain they will not cover. And I just feel like I know so little about what I'm doing that the Broncos, of course, will go to Tampa Bay and win like that because, of course.
You're fading yourself?
Yes.
It's odd.
I'm fading what I think is going to happen, what would logically happen. Yes, I'm saying, and I'm scared when I do it, but I do it all the time. That Denver bet is that Carolina bet is something I will make a lot, even though I'm saying there's no way Carolina actually beats the Raiders, right? Then I'll bet Carolina on the money line.
Yeah, it was a brutal week. I happened to have Denver with the points, but that was an exception. I went 6-10 against the spread. Mm-hmm. Ouch. It's been a bloodbath season for me. I don't know whether for everybody, but there's so many some upsets are foreseeable. There's been, to me, so many unforeseeable, unpredictable upsets that it's been crazy.
You mentioned Carolina. The NFL is so great. You have the ultimate revenge game coming up this weekend. Andy Dalton, the Red Rifle, taking on the Cincinnati Bengals. He could end their season. I mean, that is awesome.
Must win for the Bengals.
Yeah.
Too.
Couple
It has
revenge
to be at
games.
this point.
Yeah.
Nathaniel Hackett as
right.
well.
Yeah.
Another revenge game. Who can
Jets.
forget
Yeah.
how they oddly caped up for Nathaniel Hackett last season?
So this is how I'm going to know if the Jets this year are for real, because this is a game after an impressive victory the Jets would normally lose. But Denver is strolling in. It's a revenge game, as Mike pointed out. The Jets need to win this game by 21 points. I don't care what Bo Nix did against Tampa. I don't care how that team looked last week. The Jets, if you want to prove it to me that you're for real this year, you beat Denver at home and you beat them by 21 points. I will not accept a 3-point victory.
This might be just the revenge week in the NFL because Monday Night Football put the kids to bed.
Oh, yeah.
Titans-Dolphins rematch from last year's Monday Night
These
debacle.
are crappy revenge games you guys are giving me. Like crap on
Dalton
top of
versus
crap.
the Bengals?
Yeah.
Titans-Dolphins?
They stink. All of
How's
those
ESPN
revenge
handle?
games
Yeah.
stink.
How does ESPN feel
Dolphins are
about that?
favored.
They have a doubleheader, though. They have the Lions and Seahawks on the other end of the card. Man, so many great games across this fair nation. Seems like a hot ticket to get.
Is it a fair nation?
Where do we go to if we want to get a hot ticket? Well, it is a good question. We go to the Game Time app. Do yourself a favor, download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code Dan for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, take my word for it. This is my absolute favorite secondary ticket marketplace out there. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time!
Last night, it was Jayden Daniels' time, and it did feel like an arrival. Jeremy, give a stat that is going to blow the nipples off the audience.
According to CBS Sports, Jayden Daniels now has 2 career NFL games where his team scored on every drive excluding kneel downs in 3 career starts. Tom Brady, Drew Brees, Peyton Manning, and Patrick Mahomes combined to do that twice in their entire careers.
It's an underdog at Arizona next week.
That's insane.
Yeah. Jayden Daniels, again, averaged a first down per play in college. I don't know what you think he is, but Diana Rossini just told you, and this would have been good information to have before now when we can all see it, that several head coaches told her that they thought that Jayden Daniels was better than Caleb Williams. Several head coaches who didn't have a high draft pick.
If you're a Bears fan today, you have to be upset because it appears that Daniels is better than Caleb Williams and Justin Fields is 3-0 in Pittsburgh.
Even with the stat Jeremy gave, there's nothing Jayden Daniels has done that's more impressive than his ability to not get injured.
Right.
Thank you.
I would
leads the league.
I would say on the Caleb Williams front, this appears to be the worst offensive line behind a number one overall draft pick since the Houston Texans and David Carr. This is a really, really bad offensive line.
You guys all fell in love with Heineke, at least in part because those Washington skill guys are good. Those are exceptional skill guys. But we talk too infrequently in general about offensive lines that are giantly important. Like, I don't know why
we know nothing about
well,
them.
but we spend so much time talking about football and so little time talking about the people who protect the quarterbacks. Caleb Williams will have no success if he does not have protection. Hard stop. Like it's not a thing that's possible to do in that league if your offensive line is bad. Because you all saw what happened to Patrick Mahomes in a Super Bowl when his offensive line was bad. The Super Bowl that he lost to Tampa when his offensive line was bad.
It was also Tom Brady.
Okay, but he lost 31-9 or whatever it was,
Yes.
and you saw him running for his life the entire game. We don't talk about it enough.
They call the speed option play from the goal line. That is a running play. That is a run block. Your offensive linemen go forward. It looked like a bomb went off. They all got knocked back into Caleb Williams. It was like just total wreckage and carnage along that offensive line. It's impossible to make a true eval on Caleb Williams. Every time I look up to one of the TVs his game is on, he's running for his life.
A couple of other quarterback things Stugotz to get to. There is now breaking news as we talk about this that Brett Favre, whose retirement has been a real disaster that has tarnished, the legacy that he had in football. All of us remembering the idea that he would be able to be great on one of these Monday Night Football games immediately after his father died and having hero worship throughout his career. We learned after his career that he was, because of the way that he played and because of how violent the game was, he was using a lot of pain medication and that he was addicted to painkillers. And now he's gone in front of Congress and he has said that while trying to find remedies for what is happening inside his head with concussions, he has been diagnosed with Parkinson's. And so just a heartbreaking story because that is a physical prison that would be hard for anybody walking the planet, but must be especially hard for anyone who has walked the planet as one of the great success stories in a physical body, where you are the embodiment of toughness, of youth. I remember at the end of his career when he's taking the Vikings to the playoffs, the hits that he was taking as an old man, saying that is all terribly unhealthy for him trying to play on that ankle. And then we learned later on that he just had a real pill problem that anyone can understand if you need to try and get away from the pain in your life every morning when you wake up and every night when you go to sleep.
It's such a sad story. I do wonder if NFL fans know and care about the length these guys go to get back on the field every single Sunday. Because I feel like most fans, and I'm guilty of it as well, we don't care what happens Sunday after the game until the next Sunday when they play again. The stuff that Jason Taylor has told us about that he had to go through just to get his body right so he could play football again on Sunday, I remember you and I kind of wincing because it seems unhealthy. It seems crazy. It seems ridiculous. And I'm not certain fans realize it or if they care. And I'm not certain I blame them if they don't care.
Yeah, I mean, Brett Favre has done a lot wrong in his career and after it, but I really feel for him. My dad had Parkinson's very late in his life, and it's a terrible thing. And Favre is actually a little on the young side. Most people don't get Parkinson's until they're 60 or older. So I really feel for them, and it's a terrible thing.
Brett Favre, at the end of his career, when he was playing in his late 30s, looked physically like he had been ravaged. His youth had been ravaged by what we assumed was hard living and football. And so I don't know. Mike, when he's testifying in front of Congress, I'm not sure if it's responsible to assign early onset Parkinson's in your what? Is he early 50s? Is
54.
Are we allowed to make links between this and football because of the testimony that he's making before Congress about trying to avoid concussions?
I'd say the vast majority of people are assuming that there's a link between the two. He is speaking because the misuse of taxpayer funds, where he's alleged to have defrauded the poorest of the poor in his state. This is the first I'm hearing about a concussion drug being tied into that. But just a hell of a setting to reveal as truly sad news.
And I imagine some people who are cynical, who have seen Brett Favre sue Shannon Sharp and sue Pat McAfee, I will assume that the cynical will then jump to certain conclusions about, is he trying to get some public goodwill? But this is easily enough verifiable, and I would not wish Parkinson specifically on anyone of any age.
Correct. I mean, who cares? Like, if it's a play on my sympathy, he has it. This is an awful thing that is happening to him.
Another thing less serious than that as it relates to quarterbacks, and Stugotz was mentioning that the expectations are such in New York that he needs his Jets to win by 3 touchdowns to prove that Aaron Rodgers is who he wants him to be as a quarterback.
Who the Jets are, I want them to prove to me that they're a good team. I said I would not accept a 3-point win. I was lying. I would accept a 3-point win. Yeah, I just wanted to.
Okay, you wanted to run that
I'd be
back.
perfectly fine with a 3-point win.
But
yes,
you're expecting them to win by 21.
Yes,
but if you're a great quarterback in New York, we will overinflate your value. And Greg Cody has some issues with Eli Manning being considered for the Hall of Fame as the best playoff quarterback as a wild card we've ever seen. Twice. Did he make it twice on the road? Not all the games were on the road with the New York Giants in the playoffs, were they? Not all in both title runs, were
I
they?
think maybe there was one home game, but most of them were road games. He made it to the playoffs twice. He won the Super Bowl twice.
Yeah.
So is Eli Manning a Hall of Famer, Stugotz?
He is a Hall of Famer. He's not a first ballot Hall of Famer. Big difference.
But he's being bet like one. There's 16 first-time nominees for the Hall of Fame, and his name jumps out largely because the betting odds are 1 to 5 that he's going to get it. That's 83% likelihood on the first ballot. I agree with you. I think he's a likely future Hall of Famer. But first ballot is ridiculous, okay? All right, let's do the pros first. He's got the right position for the Hall of Fame. He's got the legacy badge with 2 Super Bowl wins.
The right name.
And he's got the right surname. Mm-hmm. But there's another side that makes you think, well, really, was he that good? His career record is exactly 500, 117 and 117. Never led the NFL in TD passes, led the NFL in interceptions 3 times. 84.1 passer rating, does not rank in the top 60 all time.
That's like Jay Fiedler, isn't it? 84.1
It's
passer
pretty
ranking?
average. 7.0 yards per attempt, does not rank in the top 100. Okay? And I don't want to be the guy to say apart from the 2 Super Bowls, because that is part of his legacy and it's the top headline
Against Brady.
Yeah, but you look at the overall and you don't see a quarterback that screams Hall of Fame to me.
I don't know what you guys are doing where you say,
What do you mean?
Hall of Famer for sure, first ballot, ridiculous.
Yes. There's a difference.
You don't know the difference.
Right, you don't know the
Come on.
difference?
I don't know what you're
First ballot
doing.
is special, man.
Special, Dan.
This is what I don't understand about
with
what
you?
you're doing. If you're allowing anyone into the Hall of Fame, then them being a first ballot Hall of Famer can't be ridiculous if you think they're worthy of the Hall of Fame.
I disagree.
You're just doing a thing.
Only the best of the best are first ballot Hall of Famers.
Yes.
I'm not certain Eli Manning is the best of the best of anything.
If you're worthy of being in the Hall of Fame, it cannot be said that it is ridiculous for you to be a first ballot
Yes, it
Hall of
can be.
Famer.
Yeah, it can
You
be.
can say they shouldn't be a first ballot Hall of Famer. You can't say it's ridiculous to consider
Yes,
them a first ballot
just
Hall
did.
of Famer.
He said it.
He made the playoffs 6 times. Outside of the 2 Super Bowl runs, he's 0-4.
You should say then he's not a Hall of Famer.
No.
You should say he's not a Hall of Famer. Then you can say it's ridiculous to consider him a Hall of Famer. But if you're willing to let him in the door, it's not a big leap to first ballot.
Okay, he might not be a Hall of Famer if it were up to me, but I'm predicting that he will be a Hall of Famer because I know how the Hall of Fame works. Okay, they
He's a
punish
Manning.
you- They put he's a Manning.
Oh, he's getting in first ballot. Yeah.
He probably
It's absurd,
will, but
yeah.
my argument is not that he should be in the Hall of Fame someday. It's that he should be a first ballot guy. That should be reserved for the Tom Brady's, the Peyton Mannings, and guys like that.
That's why my dad kept Craig Biggio out of the Hall of Fame by 1 vote because he was a second-year guy, not a first ballot Hall
There
of
you
Famer.
go.
I love that you
makes
put
sense. Peyton
Peyton there, the guy who couldn't beat Brady. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Yes, absolutely. No, he is. I mean, look at their career numbers. Please.
You're saying publicly Eli Manning is not a Hall of Famer.
That's
you're
not
saying,
what he said.
He is saying that if he has
He's
the
a Hall of
vote,
Famer, yeah.
You're saying he will get into the Hall of Fame, but according to you, he's not a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I am not a Pro Football Hall of Fame voter. If I were, I would not vote for him to be in on the first ballot.
On the first ballot, but
Right.
you would
the
later on.
first
So
ballot?
he's saying
I
he's
might-
a Hall
I
of
might
Famer,
later
just
on.
not
I
first
might
ballot.
later on.
So annoying.
Just make a statement.
He's
Like,
not a
make a
first ballot
statement.
Hall of Famer. That's what he's saying.
Why is that
Yeah.
difficult for you
Right.
to believe? Some
Right.
guys are, some guys aren't.
I mean, what do you want from the guy? I would guess that most quarterbacks who have won 2 or more Super Bowls probably have gotten in on the first ballot. I would think. I'm not saying they're deserving. Ben Roethlisberger is not in yet, right? He's not in. He's not a first
Hasn't been
ballot
eligible,
guy.
I don't think.
No,
Is he
I
a
don't
first
believe
ballot
he is.
guy? I don't think he
All
is.
right, let me explain this to the
he would
layman
be a
out here.
first ballot
Two-time
guy.
Super
He
Bowl
would be
winner,
a first ballot guy.
right, just-
And he was
So-
better than
Let's
Eli.
see. Oh, now look who's playing the
Guys,
game, huh?
Let me simplify this for everyone out there who doesn't seem to understand. Okay. You have friends. You have a friend group, correct? Like you have friends. Yes,
Sure.
we agree. You have friends. Everybody has friends, a number of friends. And then you have a best friend, right? Some people are worthy of being your friend, but they're not your best friend. Now, your best friend is still your friend, but it's a better friend than a regular friend.
Great analogy.
So, like a best friend, you can't say,
Bingo.
is not a friend. They're still a friend. They're just not the best friend. And the best friend is reserved for the best of the best, just like first ballot is reserved for the best of the best.
Billy, you have not been the same since you were going to the bathroom pooping and you didn't lock the door and somebody walked in.
That's not okay. First
What?
of all,
Wait,
HIPAA.
what?
Second of all, I did lock the door, and the door did not lock properly. And that is something here that, if I'm going to be honest, I've weighed my options and haven't decided yet. But like, this may be a legal situation
Yes,
that I take
yes.
up with the building here, because I went upstairs and I went to the bathroom and I pushed lock on the door, and there I am doing my business. And then all of a sudden, the
Sorry, I'm
door
in here.
opens.
Which one? 10th floor?
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
All of a sudden, the door opens. This one used to be I think there used to be a picture of Mike's face on this door.
Yeah, that's my
They'd
executive
complain about.
office.
Yeah.
Wait.
So I went.
I love this. Paint the picture. Let me close my
I'm
eyes.
trying.
What do you
He's
say?
trying to paint.
What do you say when the
always
door
thought
opens?
that
Well, no.
Don't paint the picture.
No. I want to get to the sound
Oh, I
you
painted that
make.
toilet, my friend.
I want to get to the sound all of us would make if somebody were walking in while we weren't expecting.
Occupied!
Because
Someone's in here!
This
Occupied!
This is a very
Being used!
very vulnerable thing. You guys are saying words because I wouldn't get to words.
I didn't get to words. I was just
That's-
sitting there. All of a
that's it.
sudden, the door was like.
Yeah, a jazz band is what it would be.
Well, I was shocked at first, and I like pressed it, and I was like, I'm pretty sure I locked this door.
Always unsure whenever I press
right?
that one. I'm like,
and
how is this strong
know
enough?
I went through the motions and I locked it, and then all of a sudden the door opens like, and then you know what happened? It's kind of like, I don't know if you guys have caught on to this when you walk by someone and like you quickly just like, hey, how's it going? And then just repeat the exact same thing. How's it going? Whatever. Like whatever you say, someone will probably repeat the same thing back to you when you greet them. right? So like I just go, and the person that opened the door is like, and then they close the door, and I was like, all right, we got to get out of here. Like we're finishing this as quickly as possible and going.
It's very vulnerable. We can all agree.
Well, yeah, because like, what if I make eye contact with that person when I'm on the toilet? They steal my soul? Like, what happened?
If they make eye contact with your dick.
Well,
your relationship will not be the same with that person.
well, especially if I
ever again.
know the person, that'd be even weirder. But I was like, it was
Even worse. Even worse. You sound a bit like Dizzy Gillespie. You're playing some music in the bathroom as somebody walks in.
I know who that is, but for those that don't.
I was shooting a horn that
Good
day.
reference.
I'll tell you what, buddy.
It sounds like. Yeah, I got it already. Okay, you guys, can you
sure?
elevate
I
it
mean,
just a little bit?
Butt
Yeah, I got it.
cheeks. You're the one
Mike's
that
like,
got us here.
they see your penis. Yeah,
You
so-
brought it
So
up.
everyone's
the
trying to
penis.
look
Whoa,
at
Who
it.
said penis?
No, you're
Everyone's
going
trying. I said.
No.
Everyone's trying to look at it.
No, but you're going number 2, and you got your penis tucked, don't you?
It's very vulnerable. Please just leave for a while. Can you just leave
What
for
do
a
you
while?
mean?
Can
I
you
mean-
just,
You know,
just
toss it
can-
over your shoulder.
Can
I
you
mean, you go to the bed,
just please.
1 and 2 at the same time.
Got a minor penalty, 2 minutes for ruining comedy.
Tuck rule.
Fool. I
He
know.
got there.
He got there as I kicked him out. He finally gets there with the tuck rule.
That must have been really awkward for you and Skip.
It's
Billy, I do believe this is inappropriate for you to be.
I can't get words out in that situation.
No,
I don't
I
get
wouldn't either.
coherent syllables.
But they
out.
got it. They
I
got
go,
the
whoa.
message. They did the same
Whoa.
thing back, and then they left.
Do you know how rare and vulnerable a situation has to be for you not to be able to get to spoken syllables that are coherent because you are so eager to run someone out of a room and a door you thought was locked?
Yeah.
That's why you should never defecate in public. I can count on one hand the number of times in my life that I have sat at a toilet that was not in my own home.
Let's do that.
No, I can.
Let's
Unless
do
I
it.
have the
Let's
most
do it.
extreme
There was that
dancing
red-
Number
number.
5.
It just does not
Get the
happen.
fan
Number 5.
Number 5.
Well, it's a figure of speech. I can count on one hand. I can't actually.
A Ramada Inn in Des Moines.
Golden Oldies tryouts.
A truck stop in Albany.
A Starbucks in Sacramento.
Going to Buffalo with Bernie Pomley.
Yeah.
Dan, you had the stat about underdogs of 5.5 points or more being 14-2 against the spread. I believe they might actually have a winning record straight up. And there's a lot of those lines this week in football. But as you can imagine, it's been a very difficult season to predict, especially just on the money line. Survivor pools all across this great
Bloodbath.
nation are being destroyed. I told you yesterday that we had a scenario in which there were 9 people alive just in week 3. Hundreds of people are in this league, and only 9 had made it to week 3. And I told you 6 of the 9 had been eliminated, but 3 had the
Bengals.
Cincinnati Bengals. So I was very curious. I've never been encountered with this scenario this early
It's
in the
crazy.
season. I'm the commissioner of my Survivor League, and Yahoo's rules stated that the 9 people that were in this league, now this was specific to Yahoo, they all shared the title. But they all share the pot. No one wants to chop this pot 9 ways. So I had a dilemma that I posed out for the democratic process to vote on.
I have a suggestion. Let everyone back in, especially those who lost week 1 with the Bengals, like me.
So
Start over.
That was one of the options. Is we can just say that this is a result. I'll chop this 9 ways. Everybody will get like $74, and we can just start a new one since this was a bloodbath this season. But there is another rule in Survivor that this happens to is essentially everyone that was alive at the start of the week. If everyone is eliminated, those 9 regain new life. And so I put it to the group of 9, really, to vote on this. You want to chop the pot and be done and start again? Right now, everybody is voting for let's let it ride with these 9 and try to get a grand champion at this, which is truly the most pathetic grand champion in Survivor Pool history. How are you doing just straight up in your picks, Greg?
Not good.
It's a
Not good
terrible
at-
year.
yeah,
It's
not
a
good at
terrible
all.
year to predict this sport. While everybody is complaining about the quarterback play and the points that are not being put up, it's been a really unpredictable NFL season. Usually, predictability is a bad thing. So you would think that we'd all be going nuts over these upsets, but everyone's just upset that they can't win a goddamn parlay.
I know, and the problem is normally when there's an outright upset, you can say to yourself, all right, I should have seen that coming, or I can see that. There have been upsets out of left field this year. And there have been a couple more this week where you never saw it coming. You never gave a scintilla of thought to picking that upset. It's been terrible.
It also, I believe, is proof, yet again, as if we do not know this, that we go into every week with so much analysis, and yet it is not something that helps you. The information is not something that helps you properly pick the games. What do you guys do with when you're watching all of these pregame shows on Sunday? All the people who are experts are getting everything wrong. That when are we going to stop with the idea of entertainment, people picking the games as if they know who's going to win when it doesn't appear that anyone is good at it? I can tell you, Warren Sharp knows what he's talking about. And when he came on here and gave us his picks, he went like 1-13 and had to give people an apology discount. Or did he even get the 1 in 1-13? I don't even know. I think he went winless because I don't know when it is that the audience is going to say there is no one out there who actually knows what the results of the games are going to be, no matter how much information they have.
It's just a numbers game. They got to know more than other people, right? And we love picks. How does College Game Day end every week? With picks. We love to see who people who've committed their professional life to picking these games.
It's easier in college football. It's a great deal easier in college football when there are giant talent disparities.
Guys, I know how frustrating this can be. So instead, baseball? You want to talk baseball?
Oh, stop it. We're not talking baseball. Okay.
All right.
That's fair.
I want to talk baseball. I do want to talk baseball.
Really good. Today's going to be great.
When's pitch clock again?
That'll be on Thursday, Dan, with Mike Schur, who definitely wants to hear more of my voice on the show.
I want baseball.
How'd that feel yesterday when he said that?
It was great. I clipped it and I sent it to my wife.
I want baseball, but I don't believe that you guys. I wanted to talk boxing. I wanted to talk Anthony Joshua.
1984.
Being a chandelier. You got
Tarek Skubal, my Tigers. 1 o'clock.